Well, welcome everyone. Yes, so I want to say to you right off the bat, you're gonna hear some noise in the background because here in Modesto, it's hotter than Hades. So I got my AC running, man. So if you hear some buzzing, I gotta stay cool in this joint, man, or else I'll be sweating. So if you hear some buzzing going on, I apologize to you, and I'm sorry I got a little bit of glare on my face on that side, but we got some lights up in here, and I'm trying not to make it too hot in the place. What's going on, Brian? So tonight, we had a special guest, but hey, with anything, he got his date wrong, and I told him don't worry about it. Uh, he's a great guy. I'm looking forward to having him on. I'm not going to let the cat out of the bag just yet with who he is, but that means you get me instead. So I hope you guys are okay with that. So what I did tonight was I threw together a really quick show for those of you that were on my Facebook page and you saw me posting things about the 30-day self-awareness challenge. It was brutal, man. I was hitting you with some tough questions, and I hope that some of you did do that challenge and you kept up with some of your answers, um, and you actually completed it. You did all 30 days. You took the questions. You kind of went in there and did your thing. So tonight, what I'm doing is I'm actually going to be going over that tonight. So I put together some information really quickly because we had the guest cancellation because of scheduling. Um, and we're going to be going over that tonight. I have, I think, some of the questions up here, but I don't think I'm going to really get into those unless we want to. And tonight, a little bit different than what I typically do with a show. I want your comments. So I'm going to answer some of those on air. So want to say hi to Michael. Um, yes, it is hot in Modesto, my brother. It is baking. And my room has no nothing. It's all padded up, so it gets hot in here. So I had to leave the AC on. So if you hear this weird noise in the background, I'm right by the AC unit. So I'm trying to stay cool. Um, my apologies to you, but it's either that or you just see me dripping sweat. So, and I didn't want to do that. So tonight, like I said, we're gonna be delving into the 30-day self-awareness challenge, and I'm gonna be talking about that. And I know some of you probably are saying to yourselves, well, first, let's get this out of the way. For those of you that are new to the show, those of you that are old to the show, let me welcome you to Amp Life Talk Radio, the podcast. Living with limb loss can be a very challenging thing. You have questions, you have concerns, and you can feel alone in the process when you go through an amputation. Well, my name is Sean Harrison. I'm a certified peer visitor and been doing it for a lot of years for Amputee Coalition of America. I now head up the Northern California Empower program for peer visitors and mentors. Um, Basically, I'm the host of this show, so I got a lot of different things that I do get into. I will be your guide tonight, and I'll be your guide as we go through some of these murky waters as you experience this life as an amputee. And hopefully, through this process, I will give you some good information. I will give you some good insight. And hopefully, you'll get something positive from this show. Having someone along with you as you go through this process and helps you become more acquainted with living with limb loss is why I'm here. Empowering amputees to reach their full potential through communication, education, and inspiration. Amp Life Talk Radio is a talk show for amputees and those affected by limb loss. If you are an amputee, I want you to know you're not alone. Now, tonight, 30-day self-awareness challenge. I wanted to touch on this, and I told some of you that I would do it. I didn't think I was going to do it tonight because we had some people lined up, but hey, things happen. I totally get it. The people that I'm actually trying to have on the show are two guys who are very busy, uh, and I can kind of get how schedules can get mixed up a little bit. So No worries there, guys, if you're listening. Now, what does it mean to have self awareness? Hmm, some of you are probably asking that question. But what does it mean to have self awareness? What's going on, Clarence? Well, I think by me posting some of those questions, that's what I was trying to help you come to an understanding of. I do a lot of this with some patients who I think some of the different things that I do with them will help them. But becoming self awareness is having a clear perception of your personality, including your strengths, weaknesses, thoughts, beliefs, motivations, and emotions. There's a lot said right there to become self aware, self awareness. Self awareness also allows you to understand other people, how they perceive you, your attitude, and your responses to them in that moment or in the moment. While consciousness is being aware of one's environment and body and lifestyle, self awareness is the recognition of what, or we'll say, of that awareness. Self awareness is how an individual consciously knows and understands their own character, feelings, motives, and desires. So, with that being said, and with the questions that I posed to you, hey, buddy, um, I tried to put these things into a show. Yeah, buddy, I love you, man. What's going on, big dog? But self-awareness, and it's one of those things to where I know when I put that show up and I had everybody responded to the questions. One guy was like, man, this is a bummer, you're bumming me out. But I told you from the get-go, it's something to where you're gonna have to be um, you got to be honest with yourself. You have to really be honest with yourself when you were reading those questions that I put to you and you were giving your answers. And I'm not going to go into those. Some of you can respond over here on Facebook and let me know if you want to. I'm not going to poke and pry you. This is not what that's all about. But when you went through that test, you went through those 30 days of me posting questions. Were you honest with yourself? Did you really sit down and ask yourself how you really felt about the questions that was put to you? Giving a good answer, a correct answer, a deep answer. That is the question. As we get into segment one, and we're going to go through this pretty quick because there's not a lot on this. This is kind of like a TED talk, a power talk to help you understand why, one, what self awareness is, two, why is it important to you? That's the biggest thing. So, in what ways can you become aware of yourself? That was what those questions and the whole challenge. More self aware of yourself. That was the biggest thing. Many people assume that they have a healthy sense of self awareness. I, how can I say, many people who assume that they have a healthy sense of self awareness, but it is best to look at a relative scale. When you're talking about this, you want to see where you fall on this scale in comparison to others. And that was part of that test. It's a test that I put out there to all of you to kind of like do to see where you're at. That's the biggest thing. Um, because when you're doing something like this, it's you have to get a gauge, but you're not going to be able to see everybody else's questions or answers. So we're not going to be able to do that. But if people want to share that, I highly, highly encourage for all of you to do. I got to turn off some phones here, guys, so because I'm getting buzzed and I don't want to be getting interrupted during the show. So let me kill some phones here so I can continue on because you're gonna hear we got enough noise going on with the AC in here. I don't need any more noise going on, so I don't want you to be distracted. But when we're talking about how can we and become self-aware, that's a good question. And it's a really, really good question. Now, self-aware, being self-aware, self-awareness requires a deep self-examination. Be aware of you. Self-awareness requires that self-examination, to be aware, thought, to be honest, non-judgmental of yourself and your analysis of yourself. And that isn't easy. I see a lot of people posting sometimes in the social media groups over on Facebook, and people are struggling, man. But a lot of what I see is people aren't really fully self aware of who they are or who they want to be or what they can be. We all have a unique mix of good and bad traits, all of us. But we are largely unaware of them. In order to be, how can I say, more self aware, in order to self reflect objectively, we need to quiet our minds and open our hearts, forgiving ourselves for whatever reason we are blaming ourselves. I find that a lot of people, when they go through an amputation, depending on what the cause was, struggle with forgiving themselves, struggle with forgiving whoever brought this upon them. So being self-aware is going to help us deal with some of those issues. For our imperfections, we need to forgive ourselves, offering ourselves kudos, but only where we deserve them. I think that's probably the biggest part, is for people to find the positive in themselves after going through something like an amputation, a trauma, an illness that led to the amputation. I think that's the hardest part. Segment two, how do we get it? How do we get it? Self awareness. Can you go down to Best Buy and pick it up? Can you go buy it? Can you get it from reading a book? I don't think you can. Self awareness is developed through practicing in your focusing your attention on the details of your personality and behavior. Let me say that again. Self awareness is developed through practicing and focusing your attention on the details of your personality and behaviors. I say that because I think sometimes some amputees are their own worst enemy. As we were saying earlier, we got to forgive ourselves. We have to come to grips with being an amputee first. There's a lot that goes into becoming self aware. And when we're not talking about becoming just self aware as a person. That's one thing you're doing, but you're also becoming self aware as the new you on this new journey, on this new path as an amputee. Self awareness is developed through practice. It just doesn't happen. You don't pick up a book, read it, and then boom, it happens. We've got to focus on our attention on these details of our personality and behavior. Personality and behavior. Personality, attitude. Behavior, attitude. Personality and behavior. Self awareness is what you develop when you pay attention to your expressions of thought, emotions, and behavior. We go through something like this, we come out the other end and we're mad, we're angry because we haven't taken time to deal with things. We're not self aware of who we are, what we are, where we want to be. Our attitude can be a little crappy, which can lead to us being a little crappy. So I think we have to sometimes stop and focus on our behavior, our emotions, our thoughts, our beliefs, and our motivations. While you develop self awareness, your own personal thoughts and, how can I say, interpretations will begin to change. How you deal with things, how you process things, all these things will slowly start to take on a different vibe as we develop self awareness, as we focus on it. This change is a mental state where we alter our emotions and increase our emotional intelligence. You heard me. You increase your emotional intelligence, which is an important factor in achieving overall success of becoming more self aware. Becoming self aware is an early step in the creation of the life that you want. It helps you pinpoint what your passions are and your emotions are, and how your personality can help you in life. Let me say that again: how your personality, your attitude can help you in life. You can recognize where your thoughts and emotions are leading you. We all kind of know that. And when we start to become self aware, as we work on this, we make necessary changes. Once you are aware of your thoughts, your words, emotions, behavior, you will be able to make changes in the direction of your future, bringing yourself out of the slum, the depression, making that change. Attitude is everything. Becoming self aware helps us understand how to adjust our attitude, our behavior, our thoughts, our words. Words are very, very strong. And I've heard some strong, nasty words said by people who are amputees that are bitter, and they don't know how to quite wrap themselves in their head around where they're at. Segment three: building positive habits. That is something that is going to be very important for you as you become more and more self aware. We're going to get into that after a quick little break. So, one, I can wet my lips, and two, we're going to get back to our notes. Stay with me. And as we get back into the show, first, let me say thanks, Rich, for that Awesome clip that we played there. Rich is my guy that does a lot of my sound for me. Soul Effective Productions, sponsor of the show. Rich, thank you for all the work that you do for me, sending me over the tunes. If you're looking for any type of sound for podcasts or film, check out my good friend Rich Harris at Soul Effective Productions. He's on Facebook. Just type that in and go check him out. Let him know Sean sent you his way. Segment three, building positive habits. Self awareness is a vital first step in taking control of your life, creating what you want. Did you hear that? Creating what you want. And I'm talking to you as an amputee, creating what you want and mastering your future. I hope you understood what I just said. Where you choose to focus your energy, emotion, personality, and reaction, all these things will determine where you will end up in life. Your energy, focus your energy, man. Focus your emotion, focus your personality, your attitude, your behavior. These will all be determinants on where you end up in life. You come out with a bad attitude, you're mad at everybody, you hate everybody, you don't want anything to do with anybody. Well, guess what? It's probably not going to be so good for you. But if you can get in there and go do what you need to do as far as understanding you, where you're at, what you need to do, that may turn around and be a little bit different for you.